Okay, well, good morning, welcome back. It's the next morning and it's already Friday, so this week has gone by at an incredible rate. Gonna get straight back onto the little bathroom and keep going with the plasterboard. So there's that last piece of plasterboard there, and now I'm going to build the niche. So I'm going to go and get some little offcuts of rail and we'll try and get them to sort of look okay in there. Okay, well, so far so good. We've got a top, let me zoom out, top and bottom. So that's our niche. It is quite high, but I set this up so this is 150, which is the height of one of the cut pieces of plasterboard. So it's just to make my life easier, really. So now we've got the front side. What do we do? How do we get this? So I want to be screwing plasterboard onto here and onto there, but how are we going to make that work? Well, not entirely sure. I think what I'll probably do is build exactly the same frame just as a square, so that, and then screw that onto here, and that'll give me all of the sides, and then the back will probably screw straight onto the wood. That should work. Okay, there we go, there's our frame and that'll go up the back. But actually, while I've been doing this, I've been thinking I've got still quite a lot of these metal rails. To get everything just a little bit firmer, I'm going to try and squeeze one in here next to this piece of wood that I can then screw all the way up and down onto the bit of wood, and one in here onto this side of that bit of wood, and maybe get some more, even more rigidity out of that. Okay, so that seems to make much more sense. That's added, because they're U-shaped and now screwed very firmly with far too many screws into the wood. That will give added rigidity. I was just thinking maybe I should drill through from the rail onto this and put a bolt in there and a bolt in there. I have to go and see if I've got any bolts. I also screwed that one through, so I'm going to screw this one through now as well. Then we're going to put the frame behind the niche, and then we can finally put in the big sheet of plasterboard that will come in here and go up to the edge of the shower. And there we go, that's pretty good, I think. So we have a niche. Should be hopefully straight enough. Might have to cheat a little bit, screwing the plasterboard in, but I think it's pretty good. So so now I need to get this big piece in, and that's going to involve running the last drain, putting a piece of wood in here first, so that, or well, actually, yeah, no, first. For these, for the hot and cold water, and setting up the height for the drain off the main sink. So there's definitely a lot of metal going on there now. Everything else is pretty well set up and ready to go. So I'm going to have to go and turn off the water, get these straightened out. That in theory is the height of the bottom edge of our sink. So we'll need both taps underneath that, and the pipe below the taps. So I very nearly forgot, I do need another 2 verticals in here, as we had on the other side, for those to screw to. So that's going to change a bit on where the reinforcement goes, because the reinforcement I'm going to need presumably also for the sink. So I'm going to probably have to slot in there with the angle grinder, but the little one's asleep, so I'm not going to be able to do any slotting right now. So I'll cut the verticals and put them in, and then we'll see how we're getting on and what time he's going to wake up. I could, in theory, quite easily just bend these pipes up and put in that sheet of plasterboard there and get it all lined up, and then make a hole and push the pipes through afterwards. That's not dramatic. And I'm going to screw, which side am I going to screw the piece of wood from? No, I have to screw the piece of wood from the other side, otherwise these will stick out too far. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to go and get the verticals, and then we'll find something else to do. Okay, so there they are, and that will, as the other side here, once that's screwed into the other bar, that will not move at all. So it is going to be a really, really rigid structure. But as I mentioned, baby's asleep. It's going to be a while before he's up. So it's not a huge amount we can get on with because I can't do this panel here or the loo panel, because I need to screw through from here into this one once that's in. So the only bits of plasterboard that are left that we could do is this bit above the door here and down the wall there. There we go, our first corner. Yeah, well, that's above the door. Surprisingly enough, I was just looking at the offcuts that we had, and this one here goes nicely in there. So, as I said right at the beginning, oops, the way this is supposed to look is that the wall just meets the plasterboard and goes along to the door. We'll have a little wooden sort of trim to go around the door to make that look nice, and on the inside plasterboard does stick out a little bit there, so we'll just add a piece of wood equivalent to this piece of wood here on the inside, and then do the same thing with the trim, which we'll paint up. But this offcut fits perfectly in there, and I'll have another one, and then above the door, but we won't be doing that just yet. The outside will have to wait until we started to hang the ceiling bits. Okay. Well, it's time for a lunch break, and then we'll see what happens once the little guy's woken up. But it's getting there slowly now that, you know, so much of the fiddly and the thinking bits are done. It's more about getting plasterboard on the wall, and that's not too complicated, thankfully. So yeah, we want a big 150 high bit here. There's the one that will go above that, a little bit above the door. Then over on this side. Now that's then going to enable us to screw those on and get the shower and the loo lined up. Okay, well, I was just reading through the comments and someone picked up on something that I didn't pick up on. I didn't insulate above the loo. I completely forgot about that. So I'm just going to have to cut a piece and kind of slide it in there and hope for the best. Or maybe just ignore it, which wouldn't be great, but It's acoustic, it's not thermal insulation. The thermal insulation will go right on top, like on the underneath the ceiling, underneath the roof rather of the house. So I'm not sure. We're going to obviously insulate the wall out to the room acoustically. I don't think we'll get rid of all of the sounds and the noises. It shouldn't be too bad. It's a very silent loo and silent flush, apparently. Yeah, that wasn't very clever of me, unfortunately. I have these days when I'm not as brilliant as other days. Yeah, I'm gonna think about that on my lunch break. So I haven't got a huge amount done this afternoon. The little fella's not been feeling so well, so my better half went down to the swimming pool with the other kid, with the older boy, because it's very, very hot today, and I've been at home with him, who's, well, he had like a little bit of a fever when he woke up. He seems to be much better now, but a nice relaxing afternoon. Maybe it's just been too much. I've just lit the barbecue, so that will start burning down, and we'll have like an early supper tonight. Maybe I'll be able to get on with a couple of things in the room before bedtime. I'd like to put in that piece of wood to hold the sink and the taps, at least, so that I can get straight into plasterboarding tomorrow. Okay, so for dinner tonight we have some little sausages that are already cooked. Flip them over, they go very quickly. Therefore, everyone, but mainly for the littlest one, because he loves these. Some hamburgers, because the other boy is a complete hamburger freak, and these are from the butchers. They look great. And a nice slice of swordfish, which I'm about to marinate directly on the fire with salt, pepper, and lemon juice. There we go, mozzarella balls on top of the hamburgers. Because mozzarella makes everything better. Swordfish is done, we're pretty much ready to eat now. Okay, all done with dinner. The others are still finishing up. But I've marked up here. Now I can cut. I don't need to cut this one, cut that one, and that one. And then slot my piece of wood, which is over here, into them, and that'll hold the taps and also the brackets for the shelf. So I'll put you on time lapse now. There we go, that's really not bad at all. That'll support the whole thing together. So what I can now do is line up these two verticals and clamp them into place, because we know where they're going in relation to the partition, and then screw the bit of wood through. So let's just go a little bit further over to the left. That's pretty much perfect. That one isn't quite perfect yet, but we'll get them set up, get some screws through there. So that looks pretty good. And then we can put these, so this will be the bottom of the sink. The shelf will come out there, and I think if we put the two taps here and here, we'll be able to get the pipe straight up to the taps. Well, they'll come out a bit because it won't be sat against the wall. We're probably going to put, we can find a nice old piece of wood, piece of oak or something, with just a stand-on wash basin, and then set up the water and the wastewater to go with that. So I'm just going to, here at the bottom and up at the top, clamp it in and put in a few screws there, and then I think that'll probably be it for today. There we go, taps are on, so we can just cut the notch up to there and back down out of the next piece of plasterboard that will go across there, and that'll enable us to have enough room to reach in, fiddle about with things as we're putting the rest together, because obviously this facing wall, the wall that would come into the bedroom, is going to be the last wall to do. Well, you know, even less plasterboard than yesterday up today, but we still got a fair few things done. I do think it's going to be very neat. Somebody in the comments that I was just reading while the barbecue was cooking is a lot cleverer than I am, because I was thinking about putting a niche in here in the middle, and I said, oh well, that's, you know, it's too small. But in fact, there will be a shower pipe going up there, so I'm very glad I didn't do that, because that would have been an absolute farce. So well done. You're obviously all a bit more switched on than I am. So let me turn the camera around. That's going to be it for today. It's coming along. It is coming along bit by bit, and these things do take time, but I think it'll be fabulous when it's done. I think you get much more of a feel for what it's actually going to be at the end now, and we really are getting close. So tomorrow, with a bit of luck, it'll be more or less straight into plasterboarding, and then perhaps by the end of the day we'll have 1 or 2 working installations. We'll see, perhaps even a toilet. So thank you very much for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thank you very much for your comments. As I said, you're all very clever. I need to think about what to do with that insulation. Oh, silly me. But I'll find some sort of solution. It'll be okay, I guess. It's not got a huge impact, but it would be nice to have done it properly. So there we go. Thank you very much. Goodbye and take care.